Elias was an ordinary man with an extraordinary loneliness. He lived at the edge of a quiet village, where the forest began and the road ended. The villagers often whispered that the woods were enchanted, but Elias didn't believe in such things. He believed in a solid, tangible world. The feeling of soil beneath his fingernails after a long day in the garden, the honest ache in his muscles from hard work, and the unwavering presence of silence. Silence, he felt, was the only thing that never lied to him. It was a constant companion in his solitary life, reflecting the quiet emptiness in his heart. One evening, as the setting sun bled streaks of gold and crimson through the dense canopy of trees, Elias heard a voice. It was no louder than a whisper carried on the breeze, yet it was clear and close. "Why do you look so sad, human?" He spun around, his heart jumping in his chest. Hovering near the gnarled trunk of an old oak tree was a sight that defied all his beliefs. It was a fairy, no taller than his hand, glowing with a soft ethereal light, like a tiny star that had fallen to earth. Her wings, delicate as spun glass, shimmered with colors he had no names for, shifting and changing with every subtle movement. Her eyes, ancient and wise, held a deep and patient curiosity. By all logic, Elias should have been startled. He should have run, dismissed it as a trick of the fading light, or questioned his own sanity. But instead, a reaction he hadn't experienced in years bubbled up from within him. He laughed. It was a soft, hesitant sound, as if he were afraid the slightest noise might shatter this fragile, impossible moment. "Because life is heavy," he confessed, the words tumbling out before he could stop them. "And I'm tired of carrying it alone." The admission hung in the air between them, more honest than anything he had said in a very long time. The fairy tilted her head, her expression one of gentle understanding. "I am Liora," she introduced herself, her voice like the chime of tiny bells. "We fairies have a purpose. We mend what is broken. Shall I fix your life for you?" Elias's mind flooded with images, dreams he had long since abandoned, the phantom ache of love that had never stayed, the relentless march of years slipping like sand through his fingers. He looked at this tiny glowing creature, a beacon of impossible hope in his gray world. "Can you?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper, filled with a desperate, burgeoning hope. Liora's smile was tinged with a hint of sorrow, and her soft glow seemed to dim just a little. "I can grant you one wish," she said gently. "But you must understand, magic never comes without truth. It reveals, it clarifies, but it does not create from nothing." Elias stood there for a long time, the silence of the forest pressing in around him. He thought about wishing for wealth, for youth, for a love to fill his empty home. But all those things felt like temporary patches on a much deeper wound. Finally, after a silence that felt as long as a lifetime, he spoke the truest desire of his heart. "I wish to be happy." At his words, Liora's light pulsed, dimming further. "Ah," she said softly. "Happiness is not a trinket I can place in your hands, Elias. It is not an object to be given or received. But what I can do is show you where it grows." With a movement as graceful as a falling leaf, she drifted closer and lightly touched her fingertips to his forehead. The world around Elias dissolved. The familiar forest twisted and shifted, and he was pulled into a whirlwind of visions. He saw himself as a younger man, turning away from a neighbor's offered hand of friendship, too proud or too shy to accept. He witnessed a moment where a kind word could have built a bridge, but he chose silence instead, letting the opportunity pass. He saw the countless small kindnesses offered to him that he had brushed aside, the potential friendships he had failed to nurture, the seeds of joy he had left unwatered. He saw moments of courage that he had buried deep under a mountain of fear, chances for connection that he had let wither from neglect. It wasn't a judgment, it was simply a showing. He felt the immense weight of his own choices, the heavy cloak of loneliness he had woven for himself, thread by thread. But alongside that weight, he also felt something new, the shimmering possibility within those same choices. He saw how a different response, a simple yes instead of a no, could have changed the entire landscape of his life. When the vision finally faded, the forest returned to its familiar form. Liora was hovering before him again, her light soft and steady. "Happiness," she explained, her voice echoing the truth he had just witnessed, "is built, not granted. It is a garden you must tend to every day." Elias nodded slowly, the understanding dawning on him like the morning sun. Tears, hot and unfamiliar, traced clean paths down his weathered cheeks. They weren't tears of sadness, but of release and revelation. "Will I see you again?" he asked, his voice thick with emotion, not wanting this connection to end. Liora's smile returned, brighter this time, full of warmth and encouragement. "You will see me," she promised, her form beginning to grow transparent, "when you choose wonder over doubt." And with that, she faded completely, melting into the deepening twilight until she was gone, leaving only the scent of wildflowers and the memory of her light. Years passed, and the change in Elias was profound. He didn't become a different man overnight, but he began to tend to the garden of his life with newfound care. He started small. He accepted that invitation for tea from his neighbor. He learned to listen, truly listen, when others spoke. He shared stories from his own life, discovering that his experiences, which he once thought were burdens, could be bridges connecting him to others. Laughter, a sound that had been a stranger in his home for so long, returned like a long-lost friend, filling the rooms with warmth and light. His life was still simple. He still worked the soil, and his hands were still calloused. But the silence was different now. It was no longer an empty void, but a peaceful quiet, filled with the comfortable presence of good memories and the anticipation of seeing friends. And sometimes, on warm summer evenings, as the fireflies began their nightly dance at the forest's edge, Elias would notice one that seemed to glow just a little bit brighter than the rest. He would watch it, a gentle smile touching his lips, certain that it was Liora watching over him, smiling, and proud of the beautiful garden he had finally learned to build for himself. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more tales that explore the magic within our own lives. We'll see you in the next one.